Hi guys, my name is Vivienne. I make skincare videos here on YouTube. Go check them out if you haven't already and subscribe for more. Today, I want to switch things up a little bit. I am talking about how to hide large pores using makeup. Now, this is a skincare channel, and I talk everything skincare, skin health, skin concerns, anything skin related. So that's what led us to this video here. Even though I am talking about makeup, but it's how to use makeup as a quick fix to make your skin look better. Let's take a makeup wipe, and I'm gonna wipe off this side of my face so that I can show you exactly what I use and how I hide my pores. I don't usually use wipes. I have a pack and it pretty much sits there until I do something like this on camera. Because when I cleanse my face, I don't like using makeup wipes for very good reason. They're usually very harsh on the skin and they cause a lot of skin reactions and irritation. So I don't suggest using this. But since I'm just showing you guys quickly, wipe off. Let's wipe this off. Try not to go too harsh on the eye area. Dab, dab, dab. Make sure I'm recording. That would suck if it's not. Okay, so got the base makeup off. Now, before I go on to makeup, the very first thing I do after I cleanse my face is skincare. Skincare is key because it preps your skin for makeup, really. You really need to add hydration first. So I cleanse, I tone, I go in with my daytime skincare, and then sunscreen's the last step on my skincare routine in the daytime. Don't forget that. Usually, I let my skincare sit for about 10 minutes before I go in with makeup. You can do that if you wish. If you don't have time in the morning, you can just skip that, just go right into makeup. Now, the very first thing that you need is a primer. It's a great idea to use a blurring primer. So anything that says blur or Pore. So here I have the L'Oreal Revitalift Miracle Blur. I've been using this for years. If you're an old school viewer that's been following me for a while and you used to watch my makeup videos, you would have seen this guy. I've repurchased, obviously, but the Miracle Blur is good. This is the oil-free one, just in case you guys are interested. I'll link it down below as well, all the products I'm showing you today. And I think they have the non-oil free one. Don't get that one because it will make you oily, and that's the last thing we want because we are trying to hide large pores here. So oil-free is important. Also, there are a bunch of Korean primers. So a really popular one is the Etude House Face Blur. That one is amazing. It's one of their best sellers, and I think it has SPF in it too. Another great one is the Innisfree No Sebum Primer, and Aritaum. Aritaum makes a really good primer too. So I'm gonna list them down below in the description, so go check them out. So if you get a blurring primer, they're usually silicone based, and this is what it looks like. It looks like a thick gel, very clear. So I'm just gonna, I usually just use a little bit. You can barely see it because it's clear. But I focus this on the bridge of my nose and also right next to my nose. So depending on where your large pores are, you're gonna focus your primer on those areas. Now, if you have oily skin, you should look for a mattifying primer. Now, what that does is it will control your oils so that you don't get greasy as quick. Okay, so I'm gonna focus on here, on the bridge of my nose. So these are the areas I usually see large pores. I also really like to use this on the under eye, and then makeup just glides on much better. Not like I have large pores there, but since the under eye area is usually drier, so that's why I like to apply this on there as well. You can definitely apply this all over the face. but I'm just very like selective as to where I like to put it. Now, what a primer does is it creates a smooth canvas for your foundation and concealer. So that's why a primer is so important when it comes to hiding large pores. You're basically using a primer to fill in your pores. It's like a filler. So you just dab it in and it fills in the holes. Thicker foundations, like higher coverage foundations, longer lasting foundations are better at hiding large pores, just like blemishes in general, right? So I like to, I'm using this one example. I like to use this for like special occasions. I don't use this every day. I don't like using foundations on a daily basis. What I do like to use is like a BB cream or a CC cream, which is much lighter. It's very just barely there type makeup. It feels better on the skin. But in this video, we are talking about hiding large pores. And if you have obvious pores, CC creams might not do it for you. So higher coverage foundations is great. Recommendations, dry skin. I'm going to talk about dry skin first because I have dry skin. And one of my favorites, oh man, the Hourglass Stick Foundation, so good. It's so creamy. So only if you have dry skin. If you have combo oily skin, stay away from that because you will look like a fry pan within like 2 hours. Another great one is Too Faced Born This Way Foundation. That one's also really good for drier skin types. Now for combo and oily skin, I've heard from my oily skin friends, viewers, that the Estee Lauder Double Wear is amazing. It stays on all day apparently, and it doesn't budge until you like cleanse it with a strong cleanser. So that one's probably a good option. And okay, drugstore wise, Maybelline Matte and Poreless. That one's also great for large pores and oily skin. Tools I like to use to apply foundation. Very first, my number one tool is a sponge, and I use a Real Technique sponge. It looks like this. I used to buy the Beauty Blender, but then I found this guy. It works just as great in my opinion. I've tried a bunch of sponges, and this and the Beauty Blender are very comparable, but this is like a fraction of the price. Put some on the sponge and then apply it. Now, with a sponge, you're going to push the foundation into your skin. So you're going to push it into your pores, like filling it. It's like a filler. When you apply foundation this way, it gives you more of a airbrush look, a very smooth canvas, as opposed to just like using a foundation brush and moving the product around. By pushing it in, you're really getting that like high coverage airbrushed finish. Another good way to apply foundation to give you a really airbrush finish is with a stippling brush like this guy over here. So you just dab some foundation on and you buff it into your skin. And by buffing it, you are pushing it in as well so that you get a very flawless airbrush finish. Another brush I really like to use is this one here. This is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. And this one is more dense than a regular stippling brush. A stippling brush is pretty soft, but this one's more dense. And I really like to use this when I'm working with a very liquidy, glowy foundation, which we are not using in this video because we're talking about large pores. And I'll tell you why. But if you're working with a really liquidy and you want that glowy look, this brush is amazing. You put it on and it's like, for some reason, it creates this like super radiant finish. Anyway, the reason why I say that you shouldn't use a very glowy foundation for large pores is because you don't want to bring attention to the pores. You want a satin to matte finish. If you have oily skin, matte finish is best. Because as soon as you have something glowy on your skin, it's going to draw a lot of attention to it. People will see your pores. It's going to be very, very obvious. So that brings us to my next point, which is don't use highlighters, illuminators of any kind on large pores. So let's say that you have large pores on your cheeks right here. That's where people usually apply highlighters. But if you do have large pores here, try not to use highlighters there. Just use a blush and you're good. In terms of powder, it's best to use a matte satin finish powder. So let me show you some examples. You can use the Makeup Forever HD high definition powder. This one is like a matte satin finish. It doesn't have like that brightening effect. Highlighters, like this guy here. If you have large pores, stay away from that. So the rule is don't highlight what you're trying to hide. That applies to everything. Makeup, skincare, breakouts, scarring, hyperpigmentation, large pores. Don't highlight those because you're just going to draw attention to them. A product that is one of my faves, and I still reach for it, is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder. This makes your skin look so naturally pretty. I like to use this on most parts of my face, but if you have large pores, I would still stay away from this because it does reflect light. But I find it to be not too bad. So you're just going to have to test it on your own skin to see if you are interested in something like this. It's like a light reflecting powder. It's satin. It reflects light really pretty, but I think it still draws attention to larger pores. So another tip, if you apply too much powder and your skin is starting to look powdery and cakey, a quick fix is to use a setting spray. Just let it sit for a bit and that should get rid of the powderiness a bit. So go really light hand with a powder because when your skin is too powdery, it will draw attention to large pores as well because it's going to make it look dry. So your pores are going to be really obvious. So you might be wondering, if I still want to highlight, but I can't use a highlighter because I have large pores, what do I do? A good trick is to use a concealer 1 shade lighter. Not 2 shades, not 3 shades, because that will look really strange, but just 1 shade lighter than your foundation. Just dab it and blend it in with a sponge. And that'll give you a highlighted look without using highlighters. So you can do that with other parts of the face as well. Oh, yes. Another key tip is if you have oily skin, do have blotting papers with you at all times so that when you're at work, when you're out and about, you can still blot your oil because when your skin gets too oily, it's shiny, it's glowy. And what did we say about glowiness? It draws attention to your pores. So I would say like every 2 hours, depending how oily your skin is, you want to blot it down, especially the T-zone area. And then if you need it, you can powder it down a bit. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment down below. I read all of them. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos. I'll catch you very soon in my next one. Bye.